Bam, we're live. Okay, so continuing our fantasy game. We dealt with some AI stuff. We have enemies that will follow you around. And the question today for you guys is, can we, or what should we do? Should we focus on, obviously we're not going to focus on like environment stuff because we got an environment we're working in. Last time we gave it this pawn sensing ability so our enemies can see us. They can't hear us though. Maybe we should take a look at that, see if they can hear us perhaps. And that's also part of the pawn sensing component, which we added over here. And it has these things like, okay, can it hear noises? So if true, we'll perform audibility tests and we'll be notified when a pawn makes a noise that can be heard. Default true. Important note, if we can see pawns and the pawn is visible, noise notifications will not be triggered. Okay, that's fine. So these things are already capable of hearing, but what's going to generate the noise? So I think, let's see if there's something called like a noise generator that we can add to our guy. Okay, so noise, pawn noise emitter, all right. Pawn noise emitter component tracks noise event data used by sensing components to hear a pawn. This component is intended to exist on either a pawn or its controller, does not know. Okay, so this probably should work. So now I'm going to put this on our character. So now our character emits noises, supposedly. And then let's see what parameters we have here. Nothing really, it just exists. Noise lifetime, so after this amount of time, new sound events will overwrite previous sound events if they are not louder. Old sounds allows old sounds to decay. All right, so let's just see if this works out. Oh yeah, that's right, the stream, Kevin. So if it's not working over Meets, you can try this. All right, let's see if I can make noise just by simply being around here. So now they can't see me. What if I jump? No? That doesn't seem to be working. There's got to be some other way that we generate noises. Because that guy probably saw me. So, pawn sensing, noise, pawn noise emitter. Pawn noise emitter tracks noise event data used by sensing components here. Pawn is intended to exist on either a pawn or its controller. It does nothing on network clients. It just means it doesn't do anything for net multiplayer. I kind of wonder if we need to actually call the noise being emitted like via blueprint. Like when the player moves, start emitting noise, that kind of stuff, which would make sense. So let's drag that off here and type in, I don't know, noise. Get noise, make noise. Okay, so yeah, there's an event called make noise. It says cache noises instigated by the owning pawn for AI sensing. Target is noise emitter, authority only. This function will only execute on the server. All right, make noise. Oh, and then as loud as, okay, this gotcha. Okay, perfect. Okay, so interesting. Okay, so here's what we might do is if our character is going to make a noise, first, what is the location? Someone tell us, where is the noise coming from if we're making a noise in this case? Where is it coming from? Someone answer. Either unmute your microphone or put it in the chat. Bingo, the player. Okay, how do we get the player's location? True. Well, actually, it's even easier. Look where we're coding this on. We're already coding on the player, third-person character. So all you gotta do is say, get location, world location specifically. Where is it? Get world location, not origin. That's not what we want. Get world location, and just pick any of these things. I'll say capsule component since that's kind of like the root of our character. So get world location of the capsule component. So of this blueprint, plug it in. Bam. That's wherever our capsule component, which is this thing, our character, is at any point in time, that's where the noise can be generated. Perfect. All right. Next step is the loudness. So this is interesting. So if you hover over, it says, is the relative loudness of the noise between 0.0 and 1.0? This is one of those things where the number has to be between 0 and 1. Why is that the way it is? Because it's a percentage. The idea is you're either 0% loud, so you're totally silent, or 100% loud, so you're like Shea Stadium, you're so ridiculously loud, right? Or you're like somewhere in between. We see that a lot in Unreal. You have these different numbers, but they'll always be between 0 and 1. That means it's really a percentage. 0.5 would be 50% loudness. Okay, so Boulders, I love that idea, Jason. Traps that squish you. Yeah, maybe we gotta do traps next time. Maybe this time. I don't know, actually. Maybe we can start with traps today. So what we'll do now is let's make it so our guy can make some noise. Now, what's going to trigger this? So first off, movement should trigger it, right? But what kind of movement and how much? So let's see. Let's see if we can get the speed of the character. If the character is moving and they're moving fast, we should be making noise. If they're not moving at all, we should be quiet. That makes sense, right? So let's see if we can do that. Let's do get. I don't think get speed. We don't want max speed. We want like whatever the current speed is, which is going to be something called velocity. Get velocity. Okay. Turns of velocity in centimeters is unreal of the root component if it is either using physics or as an associated movement component, which we have a movement component. Okay. Now, I have no idea what this velocity is going to print out. So, first off, can we convert this to a float? I mean, I know we can convert it to a float, but does it give me an accurate float? Let's try this. Because I just want the speed. I don't care what direction you're heading in. So, if we put... truncate we want? No, we don't want truncate. We want... All right, Google time happens now. This is where we Google stuff. UE4, convert velocity to speed. If you guys don't know what velocity means speed, but with a specific direction in there. So instead of giving me one number, like 100, you're going 100 something a second, it's giving me 3 numbers because it's saying, hey, you're going this much a second in that direction and kind of this much a second in that direction. Plus, if you're going uphill, you're slightly going this much a second in that direction, right? We don't want that. We just want a number that we can associate with the speed. So I just want to convert that 3 number thing into a 1 number thing. All right, the vector is the vector is the velocity direction the object is moving. Each value in the vector is the speed the object is moving in that direction. The vector is the speed. To get the direction, only use the normalized node. This changes the vector to a length of 1. This is the direction. Use the get length node to get the speed. Get length. Vector length. Huh, okay, interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that on my own, so that's good. We'll see if that works. So first off, let's get a gauge on how this was working, because I have no idea what these numbers are. So let's actually print string on tick. So every frame, that's tick, 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 tick. We're going to say, hey, what's your speed? What's your speed? What's your speed? And print this out. Okay, I'll make this bright green, so it'll be easier to see. So I'll plug that in. All right, let's see. I'm gonna hit play. Keep an eye on the top left. It's saying 0, 0, 0. And if I start walking, that's starting to go up to 600. All right, that makes sense. That's actually the default max speed is 600. So we actually don't have a... Oh, and if I sprint, because we actually did it at a sprint, didn't we? It goes up to 1200. Okay, perfect. All right, so now we know that that works. Sweet. So let's associate this with making noise. And we'll do that on tick as well. So let's bring this making noise code down here. What we could do... So let's say this. So somehow, remember, make noise only takes in a number between 0 and 1. Okay? 1.0 is the maximum loudness that you can be. So how do I convert something that's going into 600, maybe even 1200 you're sprinting, into something that works for this? What I'm going to use is a node I really like for this kind of thing called map range. And it's really nice. It lets you kind of like put something proportional. Kind of like does the proportions for you. So what I could do is say, hey, map range. I'm going to give you, map range, a number between 0 and 1200. Okay? I want you to spit back out a number between 0 and 1. Okay? And whatever number comes in, if the number 637.4 comes in, is going to give you the exact equivalent of that between A and B, between 0 and 1 in this case. So that's what we want to do. So now I'll just plug that in, bam, into loudness. So this is a really nice way that you can take two totally different ranges of numbers and convert them into a other different range. So I use map range all the time. All right, thanks, Elijah. Do bats as an enemy, 0.30 when you run. Okay, so let's see. And let's see, can I get the noise I actually am emitting? Can I get noise? I would like to. No, get noise lifetime, but I can't get the actual noise itself. Well, we'll know this. If the enemies start chasing us just from moving, then we know that this is working. So let's try this. All right, moving around. I'm loud. I'm behind this guy. He's going to hear me. He's going to hear me. No, he's not hearing me. He is really not hearing me, huh? Okay. Oh, noise maker. Maybe we need to plug something in that. Is the actual actor which makes the noise. Okay, we're that actor. So since I didn't plug anything in there, I'm going to guess that we need to plug in this actor, which we could say is self. Me. I'm the guy. This blueprint. Third-person character. He's making the noise. This is where the noise is coming from. Maybe that'll work. Maybe that's the missing component. We don't know. We'll see. All right, silent. Nobody sees me. No one's in. Now I can start moving. Doing a little dance. Moving around. Hey, hey. Jumping up and down. Velocity certainly must be high. This guy doesn't hear me. All right. Like I said, now we're going to go to Google. This is what developers do all the time. So let's see what this is about. Let's see what I'm missing. See how close I got. UE4, make noise. Pawn. No, let's do this. Noise emitter. All right. So pawn noise emitter. AI not hearing noise. Using pawn noise emitter on a non-pawn. Let's see what comes up. Well, that's not very helpful. This guy's having the same problem. He's saying, hey, I'm making noise. Nothing's happening. Is your character in the range of the pawn sense for noise? Also do a print string after F. What does that fire? Okay. Yeah, well, we plugged in our own loudness. I mean, I could theorize that maybe it's too quiet. I could go with that. What I might do in this case is say, all right, let's just go between numbers 0 and 600. Because we didn't like really sprint much that time. So if we're at 600, we should be spitting out the loudest length of noise. And let's also just take a look at this pawn noise emitter. Again, I wish it showed me visually how far out the noise is going to go. But let's see. So yes, we're doing this on tick. Hit the velocity. We know that works. Spit out a number between 0 and 1, and then do that. So maybe just tweaking the number there should work, I would hope. Let's try. Okay, I'm behind this guy, making noises. No, nothing. Okay, maybe the fault lies with the enemy. We click on the enemy, and we go, all right. What is your, okay, hear noises. What's his range? We have this thing called hearing threshold. Hearing threshold 1400. Max distance at which a noise can be heard. I mean, it seems a little small, so I'm going to set it to 3,000. You see the bubble got a little bigger, but yeah, let's go 2,000. Yeah, we were definitely in that bubble before. I don't think that's the issue. Can the pawn even hear? Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Alexis. But apparently, according to pawn sensing, we have hearing checkmarked, hear noises. So he was, as far as I know, yeah. Hearing max sound. Okay. I am such a dirty dog because you know what I did? I never set up an event for hearing. I only have code that makes you follow the guy if he sees you. Sure, he might be hearing all he wants, but his code says, hey, if I hear noises, I'm not going to investigate. Only if I see something. That's what I did, Okay, so if I go in pawn sensing, look, I have these events. On see pawn, we did that already. On hear noise, we have nothing tied into it. So let's make that event, on hear noise, and now we can do this stuff. Perfect. Okay. So piece of cake, just copy and paste. I know, right? Well, who knows? We're still not 100% if it'll work, but I think that should work. All right, so pawn object, let's plug that in. Location, volume. Oh, you know what's cool about that? Oh, I really like that. Oh, I love that. This could be useful later on. So if you see on here noise, the event, unlike on site, which just says, hey, he saw the thing, what do you want to do? On here noise actually says, hey, what was the volume? It will give you the volume of the noise and the location where it came from. The reason I like that is perhaps, right now I'm going to leave it where we go after the character, just to test it for a second, but they can go investigate the source of the noise, not necessarily the character. Like if the character makes noise and moves, they're going to go over to where that noise happened. That could maybe go help us out later when we're like setting traps or like throw a rock or something, like, right? And they hear the projectile and they go investigate. Totally doable because this provides us the location and then the volume too. And you can maybe branch out and be like, hey, you know, only investigate noises that are larger than 0.2 or 20%. All right, let's see if this works. I'll be really happy if this works because then I'll be like, okay, I wasn't so silly. Oh, yeah. He heard me immediately, so that's a little concerning. So, I didn't press anything yet. Let's see. You know what? It's funny. Okay, so it looked like I'm falling slightly when the game starts because I'm slightly above the ground, and I think that causes a noise, and that's gonna be really annoying. So we don't. Maybe we should. Okay. Here's what we want to do. Let's not run this on tick. Instead, let's run this on our movement code. Because just because you're falling through the air, it doesn't mean that you're making a bunch of noise as you're, you know what I'm saying? Like, so let's make this its own custom event called generate noise from player movement. Yeah, again, a custom event is nice because then I can just call this from a bunch of different places and it's all kind of contained here. So now let's... Oh, Jason, I'm seeing your comments for sure. They're about the bats and worms. I am seeing it. I'm just doing two things at once. Turn the number down. I think you kept it at 600 when you forgot to make it the hearing event. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Alexis is right. I left it at 600, maybe 1200 was how I originally wanted it. Okay, so all right. So now we're no longer doing that on tick. Instead, whenever we move, so all the movement code is the stuff here. So what we'll do, let me think. Generate noise from player movement. Okay, so then if we do that, we should have our noise generating code on the trap, I would say. Oh, unless we walk into a trap, you're saying? Sure. Well, we can have multiple events that will generate noise on different use cases. So for this one, this is what happens from player movement related noises. We'll then make another event that has to do with like one thing I was just thinking of is for when we jump, there should be a little noise, especially on landing or something. And actually we could ask, there's something called is falling. And we can find out if the player is ever on the ground or not using that. It might be useful at some point. So, yeah, so let's do this. So, here is our turn rate, our lookup rate. Turning and looking around should not cause noise, right? but moving should. So we care about this event and this event. It's like moving forward and strafing right and left. So let's call our node here, and this should only cause us generate noise when I copied and pasted it, when we're literally using the keyboard keys to move our character. All right, I'm in play. I hope they don't find me. Okay, good. They didn't find me. Now if I press the S, okay, they don't hear it. Now if I kind of move around, dance around. Oh, okay, so he did hear that. Okay. Not too shabby. Okay, yeah, he's definitely hearing me. We really now got to get into like a sneak, give our player a sneak crouch mode. So let's do that. Third person character, let's do a custom event called crouch. Oh, I already have an event called crouch? No, it's a built-in, okay, custom event, it's built in the character movement component. We'll call it sneak. Custom event, call it sneak. And what we gotta do is just make the camera go down and make our player movement slower and make our noise generation stuff weaker, actually. So we'll need to go fiddle with the making of the noise. So what we'll do is get the character movement, set max walk speed. I'm thinking. Okay, so probably 300's good. We want to lower the camera from like here down to, I don't know, here, let's say. So I'm gonna look at those numbers over here. So that's at 5 on the z-axis, whereas normally it's a 70 on the z-axis. Okay, so that's important to know. So now get camera location, set location, relative location is what you want because it's in this blueprint. I don't care about the other numbers, X and Y. So let's just get whatever get its current location anyway. Get location, relative location, and plug in whatever X happens to be, whatever Y happens to be. It's only Z up and down that we're changing. So I said it was at 70 normally, 70, and we went into 5. So 5 is going to lower it. So lower camera. And we'll copy and paste this because we need to be able to get out of crouch mode. And we'll do this one as raise camera, and we're going to set it back to 70. Jeez, okay. And let's actually make our event a toggle sneak kind of thing. Okay, so toggle sneak mode, perhaps. And what we can do is put a branch here and have an input. Drag this onto our custom event and call this sneaking, question mark. So if sneaking is true, then we're actually absolutely sneaking. So we're setting it to the low speed of 300, and we are setting the camera to the low Z value of 5, and then we'll do some other stuff to do with noise after that. But what we'll do here is, if we're not sneaking, well then we must be getting back into the normal mode. So let's now set the character movement to 600, max character movement, and set the camera back on high. Okay, so let's pick something. Okay, what should be our impetus for causing the sneak to happen? Like, what key press should we press? What mouse thing should we do? Up to you guys. Adolfo, go ahead. Right shift. Alexis says shift. Why right shift, by the way? Do you mean left shift? Most games do left shift, I think. Interesting. I like being original, but we got to think about this. We're talking about a user experience point of view. There's a reason that left shift is always on the left, because your movement tools, WASD for a keyboard, is also on the left. Your mouse has always been controlled by the right hand. So if you put it as right shift, now what do you got to do to kind of do this thing, right? So remember, you got to innovate on some areas, and in other areas you have to be super traditional in, so that your players are familiar with the controls without needing a tutorial for the game, but also maximizing the usefulness of the layout. You don't want your players never going. I love the suggestion, by the way, but your players never gonna be like, wow, they totally changed everything on the keyboard. I love this program for that, unless it's Blender. I guess Blender gets a pass. So both shifts, I believe we should be able to do it with more arrows. That's a good point as well, because you're right. Right shift is near those arrow keys. These arrow keys could be used for movement, plus a shift. I like that as well. Maybe you're ambidextrous, maybe use a left-hand mouse. So I'm a big fan of that. So let's do both shifts, and that's a really good idea. So when shift is pressed, we will toggle sneak mode. I have one more question, though. And this is totally up to you guys. And kind of everybody contribute to this one, because otherwise I'm going to do a vote on this one or something, because I really don't know what to do. Should we have to hold down the button to be in sneak mode, or is it like a toggle? You press it, now we're sneaking, and when you're ready to leave sneak, you press it again. So hold it down or toggle. And Adolfo, you can unmute your mic and stuff right now if you'd like, and say what you're going to say. I'm seeing a lot of votes for toggle so far.
Yeah,
okay, it looks like unanimous toggle. Let's do toggle then. So I'll look this up. I'm going to type in shift, left shift, and right shift. We're going to do both. Okay, left shift. We'll also look up right shift. Right shift. And now we can call our custom event called toggle sneak mode. And since you guys said we don't mind, we want it to be a toggle, we don't want to have to hold it down, we're going to set that up. So toggle sneak mode. So because we're going to do the toggle system, we should have a variable that stores whether we're sneaking or not. So let's promote this to a variable. And we're going to name this. I guess we could do that too. We can name this current sneak state. That way we could always ask, hey, is this player sneaking right now, or is he not? All right, we'll do it this, currently sneaking. That's going to be the way we phrase it. So here, now on our toggles, what we can do is ask, hey, is he currently sneaking? If that is true, I want you to take him out of the sneak mode. So leave this as false. If he is not, so this comes up as false, then I need you to send him into sneak mode. Bam. So that's what we have to do, because you don't want to press shift and then he goes into sneaking mode, and then you press the right shift the next time, and then he goes into sneaking mode again, right? So this is a way of measuring, okay, what is our current mode? So make sure that it's off by default. It is. So let's do that. And actually, no, this next part is pretty simple. Right shift, left, we just plug that in like that. Boom. Okay. Let's see if that works. If we'll know it works because our camera will kind of go down. So I'm going to press shift. Okay. And we're kind of like down here. Press shift again. Or up. Shift, down, up, down. Cool. And if I move, it still seems really fast. But if I turn it on, I don't think my speed was affected. All right, we'll revisit this next time. Everybody stay on because I got homework to talk about. Live stream, I'm going to shut down right now.